Happy Sunday! Just gonna wait for people to kind of roll in and just adjusting my camera here. I'm just gonna make sure that I have my screen ready and I can see the chat box. And also making sure my volume is on mute right now, so that if anything happens on my laptop, you guys aren't hearing that as well. So I'm just going to give it a few minutes for everyone to come in and just do my greetings in the beginning. Hope everyone is doing well and having a wonderful Sunday. What's been happening lately? I don't know about where you guys are at right now, but over here in Ontario, the government is sort of kind of opening things up very, very slowly. So it looks like things are trying to semi-start. I would not say get back to normal because that's not happening for a while. But I think people are a little more optimistic just because the weather's also really nice. And I think that really does play a huge factor as well. But yeah, that's what's happening over here on our end. I'm still kind of at home painting, designing. Kids are at home. It's still kind of a lot of fun, but at the same time, wish you could travel, you know, because I'm such a beach girl and I really, really do wish I had that freedom to kind of just fly away and go to the beach somewhere. But so today I just wanted to quickly touch on what we're going to be doing. I think we've waited kind of long enough. I have 9 people here. Hi guys, welcome. So I'm just going to be touching on loose florals today. I just did some test on here, so it's going to be extra loose than the regular that we've been doing, which is a little more detailed. So we're gonna start off, and this time my norm is I like to use my pinks and my oranges, but today we're gonna go for I'm going to try to go for a different palette. Let's put it this way. So the palette I want to go for is the yellow and the blue, and let's just see how that pans out. So I have my color pans of the St. Petersburg White Nights. So I'm going to be picking out colors from here. I'll try and address which colors I'm using if you want to follow along. And for my brushes, I'm going to be using my Squirrel Mop brush 1 and the Silver Black Velvet 4. And then I will also be having the number 12, or actually, you know, number 12 is too big, but where is my number 8? Oh, here it is. I'm gonna use my number 8 Silver Black Velvet, which is right here. We're not using number 12 because it'll just be a massively huge spread of color, and I don't want that. And I'm just gonna keep the number 8 Neptune on standby if I want to use it. So just making sure my brushes are clean as well. And I do have the little paper towel for dabbing. I know it's time I get a new one because it's so colorful, but for some reason I kind of really like all the color happening there. So yes, this is me trying to be frugal and kind of paint in white spaces from previous tutorials. If you guys missed it or you've caught it, this was the macaron tutorial, which is actually on the YouTube channel. So let's get started. I am going to, like I said, I'm going to try and keep with the blues and the yellows for this and give it like a different color palette as per my usual pinks and oranges. Let's see how that pans out. So blues, yellows, purples. I'm so always tempted to go for the pinks, but I'm going to try really hard not to. So yeah, let us begin. Oh, I just wanted to say a quick hi, Veronica. Hi, Claire's from Oshawa. Love your tutorials. Thanks for joining, Veronica. I'm so glad you like them. I so appreciate you guys spending time this Sunday to paint and create something beautiful as we are going through all of this together. All right, so let's just get started. So to begin with, I'm just gonna discuss really briefly the placement of the florals that I am going to get on this sheet of mine. I have my sheet horizontal just because it's easier for you to see horizontally as opposed to vertical with the camera that I have set up. And what I'm going to do is just briefly plan out where I want to place these florals. So I think I'm going to start off with one over here kind of facing in this direction, then another one kind of over here, and then possibly a third one at the bottom facing in the general direction over here as well. And then we have the leaves and stuff like that. So this is going to be very similar to the loose factor in this is going to be very similar to what was done a couple of Sundays ago. I don't know if you guys recall. I'm just going to try and quickly find the painting to see if I can show you. And if I can't, let's just get started because then I'm just kind of delaying the whole process. And I know people want to get started quickly. Okay, can't find it. Let's find it afterwards, but for now, let's just get started. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to start off with doing the petals this time. I normally start off with doing the centers. This time I am going to start off with doing the petals. So just going to adjust my sheet to make sure you have a good visible area of it. And I'm going to start with that over here. So as I mentioned previously, I'm going to be using a blue. So I'm just going to show you which blue first. So I'll be using let's use the Cobalt blue from the St. Petersburg. So I just have the blue right here. I'm just going to get some using my Squirrel Mop brush. And I will use this massively huge palette that I have to blend the color. I kind of just briefly wiped this area. So I'm just going to quickly get some blue on here. And this is like a pretty cornflower blue. Not a huge fan of the cool colors, but I really do try to kind of do a variety of different things as opposed to just sticking to what I know, just pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And you guys can follow along with this color palette, or you can just go ahead and have your own. It's really up to you. So I have this consistency going on where this brush is kind of taking in quite a bit of the blue on here as well. So it's fairly, I know when I lay this down, it's going to be fairly potent. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water just to make sure that it's not too dark, because I do want this to be very loose and flowy. So I'm good at that. And my backup plan is in case it's too dark, I have my number 8 in the silver black velvet, and I'm just going to slowly take off the color if I need to. All right, first things first, we're going to create the petals. And what I'm going to be doing is starting from the top, the outer edge of the petal, going in towards the center. And as you go towards the center, you kind of loosen your grip a bit. So something like this. So I'm spreading down my brush and then kind of dragging it in this way. So you see how all the color gets accumulated at the bottom. You want something like that, and kind of just like trail off. So I'm going to do that a few times. And then what I can also do is take my number 8 in the Neptune and spread this, so we can get a nice flowy edge to this, but we're kind of just bringing the color in. and we're giving this a different shape. The petal, I mean. So same thing over here. And I'm just going to continue doing the same thing around over here as well. And you see how the water kind of just flows in. I don't like the direction that it's going this way. If it kind of went side to side, it would be easier. So I'm just going to dab a little bit off. Or like I said earlier, just take this brush without any color on it and just kind of take off any color that you feel is excess, to just kind of wipe it off. But it also kind of hints at light and shadow, which is nice. Oops! Wow, this is wrong. Okay, we'll deal with that later. So going back to this and just kind of drawing to the center, and you're just kind of laying down a foundation for what is to come once you finish doing these basic strokes. Okay, so once I have this, I'm just gonna go in with I'm gonna go back into my color palette here, and I'm going to take the Neptune that I have and get a darker color of this and just kind of pull in from the top bottom, just like that. So you want a dark blue to kind of begin with, and just very lightly, sporadically bring it in. And the color will spread. And once you have that, that's good, leave it. Make sure you have a lot of white space in there too. I could have afforded to have a little more white space, but I kind of didn't. Next thing I'm doing is I'm going to get my black, or like a dark brown. I believe this is the dark brown from the from St. Petersburg, and I think this is the sepia or the umber, I'm not quite sure. But now I'm going to go in the center, and I'm just going to dab very lightly because I want this to be sporadic, kind of blending in with the blue, kind of being its own color as well, but not too much. And now once I have that, I just pull away and we're good. And then I want to go back in with my Squirrel Mop brush, and then I'm going to take in the other blue that I have going on, which is the ultramarine. Yeah, this is the ultramarine. Just got to remember my placement for these, and I'm just going to get a dark amount or a good amount, and I'm just going to go back in and add some more because this is all still damp. And then you just add a little bit of more detail and spread it in. And then I'm just dipping the brush back into my water that I have to the side. And I just want to add some very light strokes on the edges. And kind of give it like direction. And again, like I said, if you feel like there's too much color anywhere, just go back in with your Neptune or any other brush that you have and kind of just work with the flow of either spreading the color or taking it off completely. And this is actually a good exercise of doing that. And this is what makes a loose painting loose, because you're kind of, it's almost like an abstract piece of artwork, you're working with it to kind of form a floral without overdoing too much. All right, so once I have that, I'm gonna go on and do another one in a similar fashion. This one, we'll do it in this direction, and let's do it in the yellow. And for this, I will use the cadmium lemon, I believe this is. And I'm just gonna get a whole bunch of color from this. And I am going to start laying it down in my comma strokes that I like to call them, or C strokes, to create the inside of the floral, and then we'll do the outside petals. So just laying it down like that, dipping to get some water so I can get like a different consistency, and back in there. Now I'll take my silver black velvet in the 8, and I'm just gonna get a little bit of color and just do that. There we go. So as you do the strokes to the side which have color, and say there's one stroke here with a lot of color, and you go in with one stroke that just has the brush just has water, you have a nice blend that happens, and that's where the loose effect starts or comes in. You want to kind of work with that. So I have enough yellow on here. I'm just gonna add some more so it kind of spreads out nicely, and you have more of that definition. And then this one I think is still slightly damp, but I want to take advantage of that dampness. So I'm just going to spread this around here. So this will be the outer petal. And I'm going to do one with this color that I have on my brush here, and I'm bringing it out. And for these outer petals, what I want the color to be at the bottom of the petal, not at the center. It's the inside bud where I want the color to be at the center, not at the top. And this defines where it starts and where it ends. Does that make any sense? And so once you do this, you kind of have that nice flow. And now we'll just do the petals that are supposed to be slightly seen like through these bigger ones. So getting some water, just be careful in this section here, because you literally just want to add a couple of like strokes to create the illusion of that background petal. So if you're kind of just creating the shape of this forward petal, it's almost like a invisible reverse painting. I think that's what it's called. I'm just adjusting my shape over here, and once I am pleased with it, I'm just going to leave it and just do one more to have like a nice flare. Now, another thing you can do with something like this is if you have a nice orange, you can just go in, get some orange, and just add a hint of another color. So whether it's down here, remember the strokes coming down, and then the strokes coming out, it just gives it a nice hint. For those of you who are more adventurous and want to try a little bit of the pink, you can also do that. The pink and the yellow also are quite nice, so that would look something like that. I'm just going to do both the examples so you can see what it looks like. I haven't used enough pink because I said I did promise myself I wasn't going to use too much pink here, so we'll leave it at that. So once we have that, you just have some sections in of white where it kind of almost seems like you can see the center. So this is where I'm going to go back in with my number 4. Where's my number 4? Here it is, number 4 silver black velvet. And I want to get the dark brown that I used for the center here and just do very lightly some spots. That's it, and then leave it. And now once I have my two big ones, I'm gonna go ahead and create the create some leaves kind of coming out in this direction. And for that, I am going to use, let's use the silver black velvet, and the green that I am using is going to be the, I believe it's called Green in St. Petersburg. And hold on, just gotta pull it out. Then I can, right, so it's right here. It's like a dark green, and because these florals are fairly light, I'm just gonna start with a dark green first, and then we'll do like a different shade of green to kind of go along with it. And for that, I'll just take out, I'm gonna take out this, I believe this one is called yellow, no, not yellow, umber. I think it's the umber. So it's like a brownish green. So for the leaves, what I'm going to do is I want it to be very flowy. I want it to be very loose. It can kind of trail off to a dot or several dots or just random lines. Just kind of let your hand flow with it. So, oh, also give it a direction, right? So I'm just going to give it a direction right now. And just kind of trail off to however you want it to be. Get some water if you must. Actually, the direction of the leaves I want to do is from the outside in, just so that the darker color is on the inside. So if you want to do something like that, and just kind of trail as much as you can. Let the color flow in the water veins that you've created by laying down the green. And then if you actually want to go in and add some colored buds, now would be a good time, because everything is still kind of damp and wet. So I'm just going to use some of the blue that I have. This was the second blue I used. I'm just going to get some from here and just kind of create some nice florals. And literally I'm just putting 2 strokes and then creating like dots at the top of it, and then just creating the bottom, and it can kind of attach to something, or it can just be hanging loosely as is. So again, you can create just a couple of strokes and then let it go. A couple of strokes, like the C strokes, forming into like a cup almost, and then let it go. And then you can trail off to some blue spots or dots. Okay, this is not turning out into a dot, but you will see what I mean in a minute or less. So I'm just going to use the green that I have to kind of connect, even though because it's loose, like you don't have to connect. I just like seeing the green mix with the blue, so I like my connections for that reason, but you don't have to do that. So something like that, and then you have that nice pretty little blue area. Like, feel free to go in with a different color if you wish. I'm just going to extend some of that blue onto this side here as well, because it looks a little bit bare. And while this green is still nice and damp, it kind of blends in nicely. So again, it's helping with the whole loose factor. And if you pull in some of the green into the blue and start creating its own like leaves and stuff, it's at the end, it kind of dries up really nicely, and it looks like it kind of blended in with the blue and the green. It's just very pretty. So just try it if you can. We're just experimenting and trying new things after all, so this is where you learn. So I'll leave that at that, and now we can create some leaves using the same green over on this end, or actually this end over here. Let's do that. So I have my green over here. I'm gonna get some, I actually used this Silver Black Velvet 8, so I'm gonna use the same thing, and I will create the same motion, but this time I'm gonna have it go downward. So I'll start from the outside in. And this time I'm kind of creating leaves that are slightly different, so it doesn't have to be the same every time you lay down green. As long as you have the green in like interesting shapes, it kind of helps with balancing out with the nice big blooms that you have, and then you have the light and the dark, so that always helps as well. And you can always trail off. You don't have to have something solid in terms of a leaf looking like a leaf, so you can leave it at that. Some other things you can also do is introduce, like I was saying, introduce either, like with the green that you have on there, you can introduce a mustard. Just make sure you have a little bit of water on here and mix it right in here. Or if you don't like mixing in your own, you can just kind of get it on the palette and do that. But for the sake of time, I like this. And just create some lines. Okay, this is clearly not, the green is too dark. So I need a little more mustardy yellow. Give me a second to wipe this off. And I probably need to take another brush because this has a lot of green. So let me do that. So I'll use the number 4, and I'm gonna get like a nice yellowy green, I guess. And you're just creating lines. And giving it some direction, and then maybe some light enough leaves. And it's just to introduce another color to your painting, and giving it direction as well at the same time. And sometimes you can just start off a leaf or a trail of a leaf right here and just kind of end it without it reaching anywhere really. So we can add some florals over here as well, just to kind of even it out. And for that, I think I would use, let's use like a little bit of a purple, because we have a nice blue, we have a yellow, and just use any of the purple, or you could mix your own, because these are just literally, we're just creating random shapes to look like a flower. Kind of like the baby's breath, but not really. I don't know which other florals are like. Oh, I have it on the tip of my tongue, and I've even done a tutorial on it. Oh yes, lavender. There we go. But lavender is like it's not sporadic. It's very close and in bunches almost. So we could go that route. I mean, and then just kind of trail off. And there's nothing wrong with that. That kind of could add something nice to it, because again, this is a very loose floral painting. So again, I'm just literally just dabbing on, taking off color and introducing the brush with just water, but I am mixing the paint that's already on here. So it goes from dark to light, and then you can just kind of trail off. If you don't like your trail, I suggest just take your paper towel and dab it off. If you like it, leave it as it is. It's totally up to you. So I'll leave that at that. And now we can create our third one over here. I know it's too bad this happened, but let's just see how it turns out with the third flower. So for the third flower, I think, there's quite a few comments. Let me just take a quick break and read comments. Hey guys, oh hi Beverly, thanks for joining. Thank you for such kind words. Hello, from Malaysia, Ruth. Thanks, Ruth. From Illinois, we have Philippines. Hello. Oh, Germany, New Brunswick. What local? Well, not really local, but sort of. Oh, there we go. We have a real local here. Chris from Toronto. No worries. Like you guys, if you hop in whenever you can, just know that you can replay um, the whole tutorial at your convenience, however many times you want to. Okay, so let's get back to the third floral that we're gonna do. So for this one, I will do I said we're doing blues, yellows, so I think I'm gonna do a purpley blue here. I know I have some purple on here, but let's just try and get a purple that isn't quite as close to this one. What do you guys think? Let me know in comments, because I'm gonna go for it. I'm just gonna mix some of the blue with the purple that I had mixed up, just to get a different variation. And I feel like it's a little too blue. I'm just gonna show you what I have. This is what I have. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some of the English red that I have here, and I'm mixing it in over here. And this is like a nice deep purple, and I think this would look nice with this combination, right? Because purple and yellow are complementary, and then purple and blue are kind of, you mix it to get it, right? So like blue is a component of purple. So I think I'll start with this, and I want to go back to my mop brush, and for this one I'm just going to get the color directly from there. Give me a second. And for this one, I said we'll have this floral kind of facing this direction, but I see how this one's open wide, this one's kind of over in this direction. This one could kind of maybe go down. So let me just move some of my paints and just move this around. And so for this one, we're gonna try, it's kind of hard to explain because I don't have a name for the floral to begin with, but just watch my strokes and then try it yourselves, and then let's just see how that pans out. And if you have any questions, obviously feel free to just jump in the chat and fire away. So I'm going to start off by having a decent amount of color on my mop brush, and I'm just creating strokes that are coming in. And I just dipped my brush directly into the red palette because I want some variation in the purples that I'm getting. So I have that. I'm going to go back to the purple that I already mixed on my palette. And I'm going to go from this direction inward. Getting more of that purple, and now I'm going to create the inside or the back end, the background petals. And for that I want to create like a nice enough, give me 1 second to just do a light stroke here first. Getting some of the red, and I'm going to create, spreading my brush, I'm just creating but leaving white space in between. I'm just spreading it down to kind of create that back, what would you call, backsplash of the floral, I guess. And some of the color is a bit much, so what I'm going to do is just take my number, no, you know what, I have green on that, so I gotta take another brush. I'll take the number 12 to just kind of clean off some color, and all I'm doing is just spreading it downward. Same thing on here. And it kind of helps because it almost kind of looks like you're painting in white. So it gives you that nice look. So I don't want to use that to create any more of the floral because I want to use this brush so it creates that same effect. And just add a little more of the center. So for the center, just like how I did here, I'm going to get some of the dark purple. So it has to be a nice saturated amount. So I'm mixing more blue with my red, and I'm getting a nice dark red, so to speak. So I'm just going to pull it in this way. There we go. I'm not quite sure where I ended off with, but we kind of did this floral just now and we finished it. So sorry about that. But we're kind of almost done anyway, so it's not a big deal. I'm just going to continue with just doing a couple of more greenery florals. Sorry, this took me completely off guard and I'm not even thinking right now. Just a few more leaves and some greenery around here, and then we have a nice balanced kind of, I guess, ensemble of loose florals. And because I use the dark colors here, I think I am going to use something slightly more brown, and I think I have that here. So this is from the St. Petersburg, and I believe I said this was the umber. So it's like a greeny brown, and it is also dark. So if you want to kind of mix it up with some of the yellow and bring out these yellow highlights, or you can also use your mustard with the green, that also works quite well. I'm just going to mix some on the side and start with that first. So you guys can feel free to use something else, or you can use the similar colors. It's totally up to you. And I'm just going to make sure I have enough of the color before I begin. And then we can get started. Right, so I have some mixed on here. And so now for this one, I'm going to do the leaves coming out in this direction. But firstly, I think I'll just start off with doing some leaves that are just coming out, peeking out from here. And just like loose ones. That's it. And then I'll just do some over here as well, just so that it matches this. And notice that they're very light. Like they're almost, they're very watered down. So you can completely take a brush with just water and kind of make it even lighter, or just smooth it out so it's a lot smoother. And then using the same color from the leaf itself, you can extend it outward and it can kind of trail off. So it's almost like a shadow of the rest of the greenery that's happening here. So that's one way of kind of having it, giving it that extra loose effect. And so just leave it that way. And if you want to add some dark, like shadowy indication, just go in with a darker, either brown or green. Actually, let me use the green. And just add it at the center. I think this is kind of dried up, so it's not spreading out or flaring out with that color. But no worries, you just go back in with your brush and just make sure it doesn't have too much water, and just add some water at the top, and it kind of blends. So that's you're cheating a little bit, so it's okay. and just doing some light spots of green so it kind of ties in with the rest, and then we're good. Okay, so we're gonna go on with the greenery on here on this side. And I did say that we're gonna do a lighter green. So I have that mixed over here. And I'm just gonna go ahead and again, give it some direction. So I think I'll kind of start off this way. So coming out this way. And there we go. Now this kind of overlapped a little and I don't like when that happens. So to kind of cover that up, I'm just going to go into the dark green that I have, and I'm just going to cover it up right there. And then I'll just do a couple of sprigs more of these. So there's always ways that you can cover things up when you mess up. Just kind of be optimistic, go with the flow, and don't freak out, because watercolor is quite forgiving when it comes to things like this. It can also be unforgiving, so don't get me wrong. I'm just spreading out some of this green in other areas so it ties in with the whole picture. So you can feel free to kind of dab while you still have some on the brush. That's what I like to do, instead of going back and kind of getting more and coming back and whatnot. So I have some here, I have some here. I think you can just kind of throw some in here as well. And I'm just brushing off some of the colors, so because I don't want it to be too stark. So literally just taking my brush with just water on it and just brushing away the color. That's what's happening here. There we go. So now you have your darks, then you have your shadowy, lighter looking ones. And then we're finishing this one right here. This is the one that's supposed to be a lot lighter than the rest. So you see how it's almost, yeah, it's looking very much like a mustard. So I'm just going to dip it very lightly into the green brown that I have to get more green into it, and then just add it at the stems. And you can just have a couple of, to create interesting shapes. We have a lot of like shapes and different colors here. You can also do lines. So I'm just trying to think about how I can kind of show you. So when I say lines, I mean like literally you're doing lines, and it can be like you're just trailing off, and it doesn't have to join completely. You guys are still able to see good. I'm just making sure. And I'm just going to give it some direction, so I can have one loosely coming out from this direction, kind of going this way, another one going this way, and it just adds a nice flow to your painting, if nothing else. And you can have it in varying shades, or even like light to dark factors kind of involved too. Just do that, and then you can trail off with lighter leaves. Like, so much you can do. Kind of just give it direction. Because I have quite a few going on here. I think I'll do some over here as well, and just some over here, because you have your dark, you need to have a little bit of light, and then you're kind of set to go. So keeping with that same theme, I'm just going to create a couple more over here, and then we're good. So again, if you feel like, oh wow, I don't want it to be that way, just go back in, no worries, just go back in with your mop brush or any other brush, just get water and kind of take it away and smoothen it out so it gets a lot nicer. It's a great trick, right? And I'll just do one more here and leave it at that, and just do a couple falling out from this one here. And then I think we are good. We don't need to over saturate this piece with much more. What do you guys think? Let me know. I feel like this is a good enough trail. You can actually go in and maybe add some greenery in here with the dark green if you want, or even with the lighter ones. I think that would work. Why not? Whoops, let's try some. And I actually had some, I think, on this. Give me a second. What color do I have on here? Nope, this is purple. So because I had some green on here, I'm just going to add some very lightly, breaking it up, if you will. And then you can just leave it that way. So, yes. Okay. I think this is where I'm going to stop it because I feel like we have a good enough composition of things here. This could kind of use some extra work, but let's not overdo it. I'm going to leave it at this. I hope you guys like this tutorial and this one-on-one. Let me just see the comments if anyone has any questions. Sorry about the error that happened. Not quite sure what interrupted things, but yes, let me just get down to the comments. I'm afraid I've only just joined, can watch it again. Yes, Louise, you can totally watch it again. It's going to be posted on the channel, so please feel free to check it out later, whenever it's convenient. Martina, thank you. Hello from California. Hello from Montreal. Hi, Danielle. Oh, Yasmin, I'm just seeing orange right now, but orange would have totally been nice too, totally. I agree. But I'm actually kind of liking this style of like super loose. What do you guys think? Do you think that this level of looseness is something that you'd want to paint more often to kind of just get yourself flowing and just enjoy the flow of color and the placement? What do you guys think? Let me know. I'm continuing with the comments. Thank you, Mary. If you don't have a mop brush, Gail, I would say just use your regular brushes. It's totally fine, I guess. And by regular, I mean like the regular round, which is either the silver black velvet or like even if you have the Neptune, the Princeton Neptune. Those are fairly good, but to be very honest, the mop brush is a really good investment, and it also gives you organic shapes like none other. At least that's my opinion. So, but for now, until you're actually convinced, you can totally just use the regular ones. It's just, you're gonna have to fake the shapes and kind of be a little more intentional when you're placing your color. Lisa, yes, thank you. The link for the brushes is in the description below. Thank you, Angelina. Thanks, guys. Okay, so I think everyone was just commenting about how it's turned out. Thank you so much for all your lovely comments. Chris, you can't paint leaves. No worries. Why don't you check out last week's Sunday where we did the basic strokes, because I addressed the leaves over there, and they're, you know, I can focus on them again next Sunday if you wish, and we can kind of power out on that. So here I think is what someone was talking about with the blotching of color, just side note. Okay, awesome, great. So everyone had a good session. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you feel like this is something you want to explore more, and I will definitely put out more that are kind of loose like this, and easy, not easy. I think the looser you go, the harder it is, because then you get stuck on little details. But I enjoy it. I'm sure you do too. Just let me know and we can go with it. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Let me know in the comments, or also if you ended up doing this, or if you end up doing it and you want to share it with me, please share it on Instagram or Facebook. I love seeing your work. It is so inspirational to me. So thanks, guys, and have a wonderful Sunday, and we'll chat soon. Bye.